home on Smooth 98.1. It's Tega, Omas, and Zibby, and it's all about sports for the next 30 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. Do you have fuel in your car? That's all we are asking today. All right, before you start moaning about your lines and your lack of fuel, let's talk about what happened over the weekend. I'm sure some people's football clubs made them happy, especially if you support the Elephants. Apart from the fact they wanted to give you a heart attack, they eventually made you happy. So we'll touch on that this morning. We'll also go to the NBA. The Phoenix Suns were swept. Yes, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker swept in the first round. We'll touch on that in the NBA. We'll also talk about what is happening in Madrid at the 1000 Masters with the women and the men. And then we'll talk about how Inter Milan painted the town yesterday red. So all of that and more coming up on the locker room. Before we do all of that, Zibby, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room?
Really easy. You can send your messages through via WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. You can also tweet at Smooth981. And we're streaming live on our YouTube channel as well, so you can catch all of us and the show, of course, on YouTube. It's Smooth981. Don't forget to subscribe. You can even post a comment on there as well.
All right. So, Omatseye, can we get the headlines quickly? Because we have a lot to gallop through.
On the bill this morning, Clippers hold off Epic Mavericks comeback to level series, and Alcaraz cruises into Madrid Open last 16 as Arsenal can cope with pressure of beautiful title challenge. Arteta is the one talking as club subdued as Liverpool's title challenge fizzles out. Then VAR as damaged Premier League, says Pochettino after Chelsea's drama. Now, holders Barca beat Chelsea to reach Champions League final as the would-be Leverkusen late heroics keep unbeaten streak alive. Kane hits 2 in Bayern win as Inter continues Serie A title party as Abraham saves Roma at Napoli.
All right, so those are the headlines, but we'll start with what is happening in the United States of A. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Clippers.
Now, the LA Clippers held off an epic fight back from the Dallas Mavericks to win 116 to 111 and level the series in the Western Conference playoffs.
Yes, so huge game last night, and Dallas Mavericks were playing at home, especially since they've come back to take the series lead by 2-1. We all thought they were going to step up to the plate and do some madness, right? They were playing at home. They were down by 31 points in the third quarter. 31 whole points. They were 0 of 10 from the 3-point line. They couldn't find any buckets. Kyrie Irving had only 2 points at this point in time. I think the only person that was really making any headway was Luka Doncic, and even then, for every headway he missed 3. But on the other hand, the Clippers were knocking down threes from every corner. They were 14 of 27 from the 3-point line, from Paul George to James Harden. The threes were just going in. And so when they opened that 31-point gap, it was like, okay, what are we doing here? We are going to be massacred. But they came back in the third quarter and closed the gap down to 2 points. And from then on out, you would think that, they will go right ahead to win. But again, they dropped the ball and LA Clippers were able to see that win out, winning it by 5 points. And I think at the end of the match in the press conference, they were talking to Luka Doncic what happened. And he says he just feels like he let the team down. You have to understand, Luka Doncic scored 29 points on the night. In fact, he had a triple-double, 29 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. However, you have to look at the opportunities that were open to him because everybody was trying to run everything through him. But the Clippers weren't letting him do anything. I kid you not, they physically beat Luka Doncic. It's not like they were smacking him everywhere. If he gets the ball, they're shoving his shoulder into his stomach. If he holds the ball, they're swiping it out of that. They physically dealt with him. So unfortunately, he couldn't deal with the challenge. And so even if he ended up the night with the triple-double, even if he ended up the night with 29 points, he would have felt let down because, yes, he did miss a few too many buckets. But the series is tied 2-2, and they still have a chance of going through that. For the Phoenix Suns, zero chance whatsoever. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, they went into this series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They didn't win a single game. Swept in the first round by Anthony Edwards. Yes, the young Anthony Edwards swept Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. So it's over for Phoenix Suns. I don't know what they're going to try and rebuild with Kevin Durant, but I've said it before. Kevin Durant is not the championship guy. I saw him at OKC. They never won the championship. Then he left OKC and went to Golden State Warriors to join a championship team, winning team. So it's not like he was a great guy there. He was just like, I need a ring. I'm joining Golden State Warriors. And ever since he left, he has not made any headway in the playoffs. So I don't know how they're going to deal with him, if they're going to keep him, if they're going to trade him. But he's that kind of fair weather girlfriend, you know. When the money is not there, he's leaving. That's KD. and after them sweeping the Suns, he may just be on the move again. What else is happening in the Lakers? Over the weekend, the Lakers avoided being swept, and that's the difference between LeBron and Kevin Durant. Denver Nuggets looked like they were going to sweep the Lakers, but LeBron and AD said no. Even if we win only one game, let it not be recorded that we were swept in the NBA playoffs first round. And so they won a game to stay in the series. Let's see how they survive Game 5 tomorrow. All right. On that note, that's a quick wrap up on the NBA playoffs. So
let's make haste now to Spain, where defending champion Carlos Alcaraz reached the last 16 of the Madrid Open as he cruised past Thiago Seyboth Wild. The world number 3 Alcaraz won 6-3, 6-3 against the Brazilian Wild.
Yeah, it was looking a bit good for him after taking the first set 6-3. Second set, he was leading 5-1. He served for the match, but he was broken by Seyboth Wild, and then Seyboth now held his own serve before Carlos Alcaraz was able to close out that match. But it's been tough for Carlos Alcaraz because the question has been, you know, he has that forearm injury. And then yesterday when he was training, we saw them put something else very close to his upper arm, like a warmer or something to help that upper arm. Sorry. So there's obviously a struggle. He's not 100% yet, but he's won this tournament twice, back to back, and so he's defending champion. He has a lot of points to defend, and this is a clay court season, so it's also one of his favorite surfaces. And you know he has a lot still going on for him. So they have to find a way to manage that injury, and we thought the injury was going to show up during the match. It didn't show up during this match, but the question is, how long can he play with that injury that he sustained? It's a tough one, and for such a young man, he's had way too many injuries. I think part of the problem is he's a bit muscular, so he's always having some muscular injury. He's a bit muscular. I mean, even to his teeth. If you look at his teeth very well, you can see muscles. He's that.
Tega.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Muscular teeth.
It's a lot. And so when you see somebody with his kind of structure, and then the person plays the tennis the way he plays his tennis, you know, he's very athletic. He has a bit of showmanship. He likes to cover up the entire court. He likes to try some flicks and tricks. So his style of tennis, the way his body is built, when you put those two together, you can understand to an extent why he's had so many injuries for such a young player. But well, he's been able to survive yesterday's match. Let's see if he can survive for the rest of the tournament. Rafa Nadal also doing great things in the tournament. Remember, I was talking about Rafa Nadal, and we'll see if we can judge on his fitness. Well, he did defeat Alex de Minaur, the same person that knocked him out of the Barcelona Open in the Madrid Masters. So he's looking good. On the women's side, nothing has changed. Elena Rybakina had a smooth ride through, but Sabalenka last night struggled. This young lady wanted to beat her. And Sabalenka was just like, I know how to play this tournament. I won it last year. Why is this girl struggling with me? But eventually she did come through 6-3 in the third, but it was a tough one. So let's see how it goes on for the women. So far, so good for all the seeds. It's looking great at the Madrid Masters.
All right, let's talk about football. Mikel Arteta believes Arsenal's tense 3-2 win at bitter rivals Tottenham proved that they can cope with the pressure of their beautiful challenge to win the Premier League.
Yeah, I know. He's saying that, we can cope with the pressure now. I don't think your fans can all cope. Yesterday, even people that are not fans were biting their nails. Like, at the first half, Arsenal were leading by 3-0. And even though those 3 goals did not come from dominating possession or passing the ball around as they usually do. It came from them being clinical with their chances. Tottenham were playing with the ball. Arsenal were finishing off the chance, creating and finishing off the chances that were available to them. The first goal was an own goal, so that one can be discounted. Bukayo Saka was a goal on a counter attack. That was the second goal. The third goal was another goal from a corner. Kai Havertz scored. So we saw Arsenal brilliant first half, 3-0, and of course everybody will expect that Tottenham will come out in the second half. Everybody but the Arsenal players on the pitch. And so Arsenal steps into the second half. They create a chance. Bukayo Saka missed a chance. People said it could have been ruled as offside. Score the goal first. Let VAR draw line. Your job is not to check whether it's offside. Your job is to score. Let VAR do their job and draw the line. So the missed opportunity, then the Tottenham just keeps pressing Arsenal, wave after wave, and then David Raya gifted Tottenham a way back into the match. So the Arsenal struggle started from when David Raya gifted Tottenham a way back into the match, and then they scored the second goal through the penalty, and then it became very tight. So yes, they were able to show that they've learned something, how to survive pressure, how not to give up easy points. However, they don't need to put anybody on that kind of high blood pressure. Medicine is expensive. Cannot be putting people under that kind of stress. But what they have done is they've done their job. They won their match to stay at the top of the table. Whether Manchester City have a game in hand is none of their business. Their own job is just to keep winning till the end of the season. Arsenal have 3 matches left. They still go to Old Trafford to play against Manchester United, and Manchester United have proven over the years to be the team that stops Arsenal from doing many things. Remember, their unbeaten record was Manchester United that stopped them. So Manchester United have proven to be that team to straighten Arsenal out. So they still have those games to focus on. Manchester City, on the other hand, they have 4 matches left to play. They still play against Tottenham. So if any Arsenal fans are looking for where Manchester City will drop points, it would be against Tottenham. However, Manchester City are also doing the Lord's work. Erling Haaland's father is in town, so Erling Haaland is scoring again. It's that simple. I knew the minute he stopped, he had that goal drought, and then he picked up that injury. I knew I was going to see his father in town. Because that man not just always shows up to remind his son of who his son is. And once Erling Haaland's father is in town, Erling Haaland is scoring again. Is that it?
That's good.
Remember the son of who you are.
He's like an African parent.
Exactly.
came with his portmanteau to remind Erling Haaland, you cannot disgrace the family name. Right. On that note, we can take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll take more stories. Is the audio great? Zibby? See Zibby's fresh cheeks. Zibby!
So, visit autoprocuring.com to get your motor insurance in 2 minutes. Legal Insurance, insuring happiness since 1970. This is our case patient boy. This is your breakfast show on Smooth.
It's the locker room on Smooth 98.1. It's Tega, Omas, and Zibby. Let us know your thoughts. WhatsApp 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at Smooth981. And don't forget, we're streaming live on YouTube. It's Smooth981.
Well, talking about YouTube, our on-site engineer Cruz is working on the audio there. Well, we see Cruz there.
Where have you been all these weeks? You owe us an apology for leaving us alone, Cruz.
All right. So, Tega, do we have time for a message? Some messages before we get back to the stories.
Oh yes, let's do some messages before we get back to the stories.
All right, I'll take you to YouTube. I think YouTube is a fine place to start off because someone is amazed at how you cook up some of these your phrases. Padre Pio says Tega dropped another one. Which one is muscular to his teeth? Well, you've not heard him say Nada's body looks like his broken down car. Just wait for Tega. She drops these things on an inspiration when she gets it. Now, Ibuku Konu says, Tega the Zibby, your calling is not available at the moment. Please try later. I don't know where that came from, but let's go on now to WhatsApp messages. A lot of controversial matches over past 2 weeks, especially the YD. Very atrocious rubbish. VAR is allowed to match the beautiful game. If it's still beautiful, I wouldn't know. The dubious technology has needlessly taken the soul out of the game. Shame. Thank goodness Swedish football didn't adopt the nonsense. Lakers may just do the impossible. Expect a strange UCL final. X-Fact message. And then comes this one. Kelvin from Lawansin says, the atrocious rubbish VAR is allowed to... Okay, that's his message again. He sent it twice. Okay, go on. Adebayo says, Tega Potumoto. Well, when last did I hear that Gen Z no good no waiting Tega they talk? I think it's a menu for breakfast. I'm just adding that to it. And Mourinho, Tayo says, Mourinho said, I prefer not to speak. Mo Salah, if I speak, there will be fire. EPL lexicon is improved by the game. Salah channeled his inner dragon. That's what he had to say.
Man, I don't even know what they were fighting for on the side. On that note, let's go to the Salah story.
All right.
Oh, the Liverpool story, Zibby.
Jurgen Klopp said he's not thinking about whether Liverpool's Premier League title challenge was over after his side dropped points at West Ham United on Saturday, but he admitted that rivals Arsenal and Manchester City were rather unlikely to trip up.
Yeah, his own title challenge, they didn't trip up at this point in time. They slipped and they're flat on their back. It's that simple. There's no getting up. Because match after match now they've dropped point after point. And against West Ham, it wasn't tough. West Ham was not brilliant on the day. At the end of the day, they still managed to walk away with a point. And so the Liverpool challenge has really, really flopped. And to make matters worse, it's not just them not fighting enough on the pitch, it's them fighting off the pitch. Because I think Mo Salah was supposed to come into the match and he was exchanging words with Jurgen Klopp on the side of the pitch, which is why people were asking him, what were you telling your coach? And he said, if I speak, they'll be fired today. I don't know if he was upset that he was starting from the bench. Whatever it is, when he came on the pitch, he didn't prove why he should be starting. So I guess I'm siding with Klopp this time. But just general bad behavior. And it takes me back. I remember when Jurgen Klopp announced that he was leaving the club at the end of the season. Salah had a random interview. I remember the interview was on Instagram. Had a random interview, and the interview and the asked Salah what he thought about Jurgen Klopp's resignation, leaving at the end of the season, and he said he kept asking Jurgen Klopp why, not just why are you leaving, because when Jurgen Klopp explained that part to him, he understood it, but why are you telling us now? And so when the weekend happened, issue happened, with them dropping points and him fighting with Jurgen Klopp on the side of the pitch, it just makes sense, because the question is, okay, you are leaving the club, but why do you have to announce it now? It's not like there was any leak coming out. It's just, why are you leaving? Why are you announcing it now? Because all the managers that announced they were leaving at the end of the season, their title challenges faded. Every single one. Not because nobody is fighting for anything anymore. So it's a strange one. I don't know if it's just the announcement, but I think the announcement had a role to play in this Jurgen Klopp's issue, because at the time he made the announcement, Liverpool were still fighting on many fronts. In fact, they looked like they were going for a treble, only for them to end the season with nothing and a cat fight, I must add, on the pitch side. So tough one. Tough one.
Chased everything, ended up with nothing right now. But let's move on now to Mauricio Pochettino claimed VAR has damaged the Premier League after Chelsea had a late goal controversially disallowed in their dramatic 2-2 draw at Aston Villa over the weekend.
Was it a foul? Yes. Was the goal cancelled? Yes. Which one is VAR? So I would say this. A lot of people have been saying that the video assistant referee has spoiled the game. I think what the video assistant referee has done has just put the spotlight on the play areas that need fixing. So the video assistant referee is like turning the lights on in a room. Now you see where the furniture is out of place or where the furniture is damaged. I think that's what VAR has done. And some leagues have used it better. They've used the VAR in the Champions League better. Were there one or two controversial moments? Yes. But they've used the VAR in other leagues better. In the EPL, VAR is just different. However, that ruling on Saturday was the correct one. There was a foul in the build-up. They cancelled the goal. But it stopped a dramatic comeback, because at that point in time, Aston Villa had been leading Chelsea by 2-0. And then Chelsea fights their way back into the game to equalize 2-2. And then it seemed like they had found the winner in the last minute of the match. So you can imagine the frenzy that would have happened if that goal stood. So I understand his pains, but football is for 90 minutes, and his team should have played for 90 minutes instead of just 45 minutes. So don't blame us. Go into your locker room and look at your team and tell them that next time there are 2 halves in the match, play both halves. But yeah, I understand where his pain is coming from. Either way, it was the right call, not the wrong one. So,
all right, holders Barcelona. Yes, so holders Barcelona battled into the final of the Women's Champions League, overturning a first leg 1-0 deficit to beat Emma Hayes' 10-woman Chelsea 2-0 in the second leg at a sold-out Stamford Bridge on Saturday.
Yes, Emma Hayes is another coach that announced she was leaving at the end of the season. Title challenge fizzled out. All right, but it's a tough one. I remember Chelsea fans just disturbing my life when they went to Camp Nou. Sorry, it's not Camp Nou. When they went to Barcelona and won the first leg by 1-0. Now you have to understand that Barcelona team, the Barcelona women's team, hadn't lost a home match in 5 years. Chelsea went there to desecrate their ground, and they were so excited that, you know what, Barcelona should come to England and collect the remaining. Well, Barcelona went to England, and they were the ones giving Chelsea what Chelsea needed. There were 1 or 2 controversial calls. Again, you would see all those calls, like the red card. I was like, sometimes when you show somebody the first yellow, some referees like to warn the person that, you know what, you are walking on a tightrope. They don't have to give a second yellow. So I think the referee should have been hesitant to bring out a card, but some referees will throw the book at it and say, you know what, I'm giving the red card. So there are 1 or 2 calls that you could have said were controversial, but ultimately Barcelona did the job. Came to England, beat Chelsea by 2-0, which was the 2 goals they needed, and now they're in the final. They're in the final to play against Lyon. Now it was a PSG Lyon final and semi-final, and Lyon won home and away. So it's Barcelona versus PSG versus Lyon in the Women's Champions League final. Tough one for Chelsea, but great one for Aitana Bonmati and Barcelona.
Now, Robert Andrich scored with the last kick of the match to extend Bayern Leverkusen's unbeaten run to a 46th game this season with a 2-2 home draw against Stuttgart over the weekend.
Yes, so this weekend, everybody thought this was the weekend Bayer Leverkusen was going to lose. Stuttgart were leading. They scored the first goal unreplied by Leverkusen. Then they scored the second goal, and people were like, Bayern Leverkusen are not even playing well. This weekend is going to be tough for them. Then Bayern Leverkusen gets one back. After getting one back, they now introduce Boniface and Wirtz. Can you imagine having already won the league? You are now introducing Boniface and Wirtz into the match. For what purpose? Just to retain that they are unbeaten run. They just don't want to lose any match. At this point in time, I think they've signed a blood contract that we must not lose before the end of this season, because they scored their equalizer in the 97th minute of the game. So match was over. Referee was getting ready to put his whistle in his mouth. And Leverkusen scored that goal to just not lose, to maintain that unbeaten run. So it's going to be tough. At this point in time, I don't know which team can beat them, because they are playing till people start walking into the locker room. That's how well they are playing. 97th minute equalizer again for Bayern Leverkusen, and they maintain their unbeaten run. So it's beginning to look like a brilliant season for Alonso, if he was not already looking brilliant before. It's going to be tough. We're waiting for. So right now, the question is not when will they lose. The question is who will beat them, because everybody has tried. Bayern Munich has tried. Teams have tried in Europe, and they're still maintaining their unbeaten run. So we wait to see who will be able to defeat Bayern Leverkusen. Or rather, they call them their new name now, Bayern Never Losing. So.
All right, now Inter Milan began their official Serie A title party on Sunday as the newly crowned champions were acclaimed by crowds throughout their city after a straightforward 2-0 win over 10-man Torino.
73,000 people flooding the streets of Milan. And imagine if you're an AC Milan fan, how you would feel, because this is their home. But 73,000 blue and black wearing shirted people were the ones celebrating the title. And to make it even more interesting, they now won their match against Torino by 2-0. So they celebrated off the pitch with colors, and then they celebrated on the pitch with two unreplied goals. So brilliant one for Inter Milan. It's been a fantastic season, especially in the Serie A for them. Last year they were still in the Champions League by this time, so in that one they can say they walked backwards. But when it comes to the Serie A, I think they had that one on lockdown. They dominated, won convincingly, and are still winning right now. So it was understandable that the streets were blocked and clogged by human beings, and there was a lot of noise and partying. But yeah, they deserved it, so let them enjoy it. Also in the Italian Serie A, Roma took on Napoli in a match that was very important to both. Roma trying to vie for that last position in the Champions League, and Napoli just trying to redeem their season. And Napoli looked like they were going to take it, especially after Victor Osimhen scored from the spot. But Tammy Abraham, another guy of Nigerian descent, after missing most of the season through injury, comes up from the bench and nots in a last-minute header to get Roma the equalizer. So interesting match that one. It ended 2-2, and Roma still fighting or climbing their way to the top of winning the Champions League.
All right, I think we can read some of the messages we have coming through.
Messages piled up already. Tayo says, no person is bigger than the club. Liverpool new manager has a lot of work to do. That emotional message by club is double-edged. First, as a motivation, and now as an opportunity to ruin his valedictorian. VAR and that AFCON use. Well, EPL should invite us to train them on the use of VAR.
You know, they should just write CAF. We are not far. 6 hours we have reached there. 6 hours.
It goes on, says, Bayer Leverkusen losing game this season is a future impossible statement. That's all Tayo says. Then Ibuku from Ketu says, well, Tega, I don't understand the VAR and EPL referees. Man U were denied a clear penalty for the same type of handball that was given against Wan-Bissaka in Coventry match. Then please help me understand the penalty with Onana against Onana. It went for a 50-50 ball, and Wan-Bissaka had already headed the ball away, so the player could not have gotten the ball. Ibukun's thought from K2. Then AY from Moniru says, Pochettino is just a crybaby. There was no controversy anywhere. Deji says, VAR or not, ref's decision is still final. That's all he would say. Chidozie says, no matter what happens at the end of the season, the Premier League should investigate why Klopp and Salah almost turned a football game into WWE exhibition. Liverpool fans and Klopp are so funny. They thought everyone would just lay down and watch them win the quadruple just because Klopp announced his exit. Them just they play. Chidozie's thoughts. Match like the Tottenham and Arsenal, the game was on. So, but Declan Rice was kicking the wrong balls and cost us penalty. And I agree with Tega on this one. Jurgen Klopp really flopped by announcing his departure from Liverpool too early. But what I heard from leaks on Salah and Klopp, this is Klopp speaking now, where should have sold you and keep Sergio Mane. And Salah replies, it be like say you won't collect. If them born you well, talk am again. You go know why them call me Pharaoh of Egypt. That's what his own interpretation is. And our final message now from Emeka Onelum says, Arsenal was really good, especially in the first half. And if you notice, the Tottenham Stadium was already empty, just like their trophy cabinet. And then David Raya decided to bring out his inner Onana to give them hope. The last 10 minutes was really stressful to watch. I had to turn off my TV and listen to Kenny G to cool my nerves. That's all.
All right, that is it for the locker room. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sending your messages. The locker room will be back Wednesday, 8:15.